Stop. Stop everything. This message is not for everyone. If you are hearing this right now, it is not because you had time, it is because you were called. Slow your breath, because what is about to be spoken is not meant for the crowd, it is meant for one soul. You have always felt it, that you do not fully belong here, surrounded by people, yet inwardly alone, smiling on the outside, silent on the inside. Others tried to understand you, but something never fully connected. You wondered if something was wrong with you, if you think too much, if you feel too deeply. But the truth is this: you were being hidden, not lost. Look at the pattern of your life. Repeated breaking, long waiting with no explanation, doors closing at the very last moment, people promising, then disappearing. This was not punishment, this was preparation. You were kept away from noise because what was placed inside you cannot grow in chaos. You have endured more than you ever said out loud. Wounds that had no language, questions heaven answered late, many nights where you survived by staying silent. That silence trained you. While people overlooked you, something else was watching. When the world tried to push you forward, another force held you back. Because every chosen soul is bowed before it is lifted. You thought life had paused, but something was forming inside you, slowly, deeply. Now the season is shifting. You can feel it. Your sleep is different. Your thoughts are heavier. Your heart is restless, but not afraid. This restlessness is reminding you that the time you spent in the dark was not wasted. But clarity will not come all at once, not yet, because what has been prepared for you cannot be carried without strength. So the next step will take you inward, deeper than before, and that inward step will not feel gentle. When you go inside yourself, the first thing you meet is not light, it is memory, unfinished conversations, buried emotions, questions you were never allowed to ask. You carried pain quietly. People mistook your calm for weakness, your patience for permission, and you stayed silent every time. Something inside you cracked little by little, like a wall no one sees breaking until it collapses. You asked yourself if you were enough, if something was missing in you, and each time you turned the blame inward. But hear this clearly: the place where you were hurt the most is the place where your strength is forming. You were kept alone because the crowd would have diluted you. You were delayed because early rewards would have destroyed you. There has always been a strange pattern in your life. The moment you trusted fully, betrayal followed. The moment you hoped deeply, disappointment arrived. This was not random. You were being taught that support is not something you find outside, it is something you build within. You noticed how people remembered you only when they needed something, how your absence never disturbed them, yet their absence weighed heavily on you. This did not make you bitter, it made you deeper. Now you read people beyond words. You feel intention before action. You know how to walk alone even in a crowded room. That is why old connections no longer fit. Old conversations exhaust you. Old dreams feel too small. This is not ego. This is expansion. Your soul has outgrown its previous container. But here is the tension. You want to move forward, yet something keeps pulling you back. Habits, fear, old promises, familiar pain. You are standing between two worlds, one that is familiar but empty, and one that is unknown but calling you. Most people turn back at this point. You did not. You stayed. You questioned. You endured. That is why the pressure is increasing now. The inner conflict is intensifying because when a soul approaches the next level, everything tied to the old one fights to keep it. This battle is not external, it is happening inside you. And for now, you only need to know this: this exhaustion is not the end. It is the signal that something is about to break. And when something begins to break, it never does so quietly. You may feel heavier than before, even though nothing around you has changed. Your body reacts first. Sudden tiredness, random waves of emotion, a desire to withdraw without knowing why. This is not weakness, this is separation. Old layers are loosening, old identities are cracking. You are being asked to release versions of yourself that once kept you safe but can no longer take you forward. This is why familiar routines feel empty. This is why distractions no longer work. This is why silence now feels louder than noise. Inside you, something is recalibrating. You are becoming aware of battles you never named, energies you once absorbed without question, expectations you carried that were never yours, and now you feel exposed, like you have no shield. But this exposure is intentional, because what is coming cannot be carried with armor built from fear. You are being refined, not punished, tested, not rejected. The resistance you feel is not life pushing against you, it is life pulling truth out of you. This is why misunderstandings increase, why people suddenly misread you, why your intentions are questioned. Light reveals what darkness tolerated. Growth disrupts comfort, and as you shift, the environment responds. Some will distance themselves without explanation. Some will challenge you without reason. This is not because you changed for the worse. It is because you can no longer be controlled the way you once were. Your spirit is learning to stand without validation, to move without applause, to trust without proof. And this is uncomfortable because you were conditioned to measure your worth through response. Now you are being asked to listen inwardly instead. There is a quiet instruction forming beneath the noise, not loud, not rushed, persistent. It does not force you, it waits for you to notice. And the more you resist it, the louder your inner tension becomes, because alignment always feels like pressure before it feels like peace. You are not lost. You are between signals, the old one fading, the new one still tuning in. And soon, very soon, you will be faced with a choice that cannot be avoided. And when that choice appears, it will not look dramatic. It will arrive quietly, disguised as discomfort, a moment where you realize you cannot keep living the same way without betraying yourself. You will feel it in your chest before you understand it in your mind, a deep knowing that something must be surrendered, not because it's wrong, but because it has expired. This is where fear speaks the loudest. It reminds you of what you might lose: stability, familiar faces, old identities. It will tell you to wait a little longer, to adjust, to compromise again. But your spirit will not agree, because it remembers why you were stretched in the first place. You did not endure isolation just to return to shrinking. You did not survive betrayal just to keep settling. This is where spiritual resistance intensifies. Doubt will sound logical. Delay will feel responsible. Silence from others will feel like confirmation that you are wrong. But this is the narrow passage, the place where obedience feels lonely before it feels powerful. You may notice strange interruptions, plans falling apart for no clear reason, conversations ending abruptly, opportunities dissolving before they fully form. This is not chaos. This is alignment removing what cannot follow you forward. What is leaving now cannot go where you are going, and that hurts because some of it mattered, some of it felt like home, but comfort was never your calling. Refinement was. You are learning to move without guarantees, to trust timing without signs, to act from inner certainty rather than external permission. This is where your faith matures, not the kind that demands proof, but the kind that walks anyway. And as you stand here between what was and what will be, you may feel unseen, unsupported, almost forgotten. But this is the moment when heaven goes quiet, not because it left you, but because it is watching what you choose. Because what comes next cannot be forced, it must be claimed. And claiming it will cost you more than you expected, but less than what staying would have taken from you. This is where hesitation lingers, not because you lack courage, but because you finally understand the weight of consequence. You are no longer acting from impulse. You are acting from awareness. You see clearly now how every past delay shaped your discipline, how every silence sharpened your perception. Nothing was wasted. Still, there is grief here, grief for the version of you that tried so hard to belong.
Grief for timelines you imagined would happen differently. You may find yourself mourning things that never fully existed, only the hope of them. This is part of the release. You cannot step forward while carrying echoes of what almost was. This is where the inner voice becomes firmer, less emotional, more exact. It does not beg, it instructs. You begin to notice how certain paths no longer respond to your effort, how forcing feels exhausting, how alignment feels strangely calm, even when uncertain. This is discernment forming. You are learning the difference between resistance that refines and resistance that warns. Some struggles were meant to shape you, others were meant to signal no, and now you can tell the difference. This is why your tolerance has changed. You no longer chase what drains you. You no longer explain yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you, not out of pride, but out of preservation. Something valuable is stabilizing within you, a center that does not shake with every reaction around it. This is why the external world may feel slower now, why momentum pauses again just as you feel ready. This pause is deliberate, because what is about to open requires precision, not urgency. You are being positioned, not tested, adjusted, not delayed. And though you may feel invisible in this moment, unseen does not mean inactive. Beneath the surface, everything is aligning for a final shift that cannot be reversed once it begins. And once that shift begins, there is no returning to who you used to be. Not because you rejected that version, but because you have outgrown it completely. What felt like waiting was alignment. What felt like loss was extraction. What felt like silence was instruction. Now you see it clearly. Every delay protected you. Every closed door redirected you. Every season of isolation strengthened you in ways visibility never could. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared in private for a responsibility that cannot be carried by the unrefined. This is your awakening, not as noise but as authority, not as urgency but as certainty. You no longer chase purpose, you move with it. You no longer need approval because you are anchored. The confusion lifts, not all at once, but enough to move forward without fear. You understand now why your path never looked like others, why shortcuts never worked for you, why comfort always felt temporary. You were designed for depth, not ease, for impact, not popularity. This is the activation, not dramatic but irreversible. You are stepping into the season where preparation turns into placement, where pressure turns into clarity, where calling turns into action. And from this point forward, you do not shrink to fit rooms. Rooms will shift to accommodate your presence. If this message reached you, it was not by accident. You were meant to hear it at this exact moment. If this resonated with you, like this video so it reaches others who are being prepared in silence. Subscribe to stay connected to this journey, and comment below, not for everyone, but for those who know, say, "I'm ready."